Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Blakers here with a new video. Today we are going to be discussing The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. So for those of you who may not know me very well yet, I have a confession to make. This is my favorite book of all time, and I just finished rereading it. So I have lots of feelings. Oh my god, like this book does things to me. I just... So how do I even begin to describe this masterpiece? Because that's what this is. This is a masterpiece. This is a magnum opus. And then the whole series, but like this book specifically, I adore. So The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson is book one in the planned 10-book series, The Stormlight Archive. And I know what you're thinking, 10 books is a long thing, it's a big commitment, this is a thick book. Do not worry, I will walk you through it. So basically, it's going to be 10 books, but divided into two 5-book arcs. And there's going to be a little gap in between the two. So 5 books isn't that much of a commitment. And then if you love the first 5, you can move on to the next 5. As of now, we only have 3. Book 4 is coming out in a month though, so. And then also, each book is basically a trilogy. And I know that's kind of wild to say, but it's true, because each book is like 1,000 pages long, and he structured it like you get a first arc in the book, a second arc in the book, and then a third arc in the book. And he does this with all of the Stormlight books. So really, if you think about it, with book 4 coming out, we'll have 12 books. Okay, this math seems weird, but like, the good content. We have good content. Okay, I'm just talking about the series without actually talking about the series. So, the world of Roshar is a vast and varied one. And as you can see, I'm wearing my Stormlight shirt that I just got. So, as you can tell, I'm a fan. So, Roshar is a world that's ravaged by these things called high storms. Basically, once every, or a few times a week, or once every week, or something like that, this giant high storm sweeps across the land, east to west, and just like ravages everything. It gets, lighter as it crosses the mountains, and but like from when it hits around east, it's bad. It's like apocalyptic, almost storm like. And so the world has evolved to take that into account. Basically, a lot of the creatures are like crustacean. The plants like hide into the rocks. There's like no grass. I mean, there is grass, but the grass like retreats into the ground when it like senses movement and stuff. Like this is a world that's built around an ecosystem. Like Brandon Sanderson did not just take a like medieval kind of world and then slap a fantasy theme onto it like I've seen done before, but it really feels so fleshed out. It feels so alien and different and unique, and I love that. So that's the first thing, is just like the world building. The world building in this thing is insane. And then we have the characters. This is why I love Stormlight. This is why I will forever love Stormlight, and why if Sanderson does anything to my babies, I will hurt him. So we have kind of an ensemble cast, but there's like 3 major characters. Although I do have to say, in each book there is a flashback character, and God, I describe this in the most confusing way, but I swear it makes sense. So we follow our cast of characters throughout the books, and their stories proceed as normal, but in each book, you get the backstory of one of those characters. So book 1 is Kaladin's flashbacks. And I love him so much. I think Kaladin is probably my favorite character in all of fiction. He is just a very broken man. So the book starts out with him being enslaved, and you're not exactly sure why he was enslaved, what happened, but he's in a very low place. And then he's sold to this army, which forces him to basically make these things called plateau runs, where he carries a bridge with a bunch of other people, and they are sent on the front lines of the army because they have to put the bridges down to cross the chasms. And they're the ones that are fired upon and killed, and their lives are basically meaningless. And Kaladin is forced into this bloodbath, and he tries his best to endure, and it's just heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. And this brings me to a topic that I think I really need to talk about, is that Brandon Sanderson really cares about his characters, but more than that, he makes them real people. Kaladin has depression, and it's done so realistically, so just, it's heartbreaking. With every single thing that he does, you can just tell it's something that never leaves him. And I know some people think that Kaladin is annoying because of this, but it's so endearing to me because Brandon Sanderson never tries to take the easy way out, because it would be very easy to say, oh, there's this magic, and then, by the end of the book, we're gonna heal him, and then, depression was just something he had to get over. No. Depression is something that he lives with. In this book, it's something he deals with, it's something he grapples with, and then in the next book, and the next book, and the next book, and the next book, and the next book. I don't know what I'm saying, the next book, but I don't know how long he's gonna live. I hope he lives. Anyways, the point is, he feels like a real person. Like, he feels as real to me as my roommate. And I just have so much love in my heart for him, because I know people with depression, and it's hard. And depression isn't the only thing that Sanderson deals with. There are other characters that are dealing with very, very intense PTSD. One character has DID. There is just a whole range of just things that make these characters feel more grounded in our reality, even though they are, in a completely different world, fantasy kind of thing. And it's done in a way that doesn't feel cheap or melodramatic. Brandon Sanderson never lets kind of the characters' neurodivergencies or mental processes ever define them. It is not, oh, Kaladin has depression, or spoilers, has blah blah blah. But it's just a part of who they are. It's not their whole story. It is just a part of their story. And God, I love that. I love Kaladin. Anyways, that was me ranting about Kaladin. But so beyond that, we have Shallan, who is a scholar who is trying to ward under the sister of the king. She is kind of like a heretic because she does not believe in God. She's an atheist. We're gonna go on another tangent. So a lot of people get mad at Brandon Sanderson because he is LDS, because he is Mormon. And I don't understand that, because he never lets it influence his writing. In fact, I would say that him being LDS actually makes his books more interesting, because he's fascinated with creating religions, where a lot of other authors I've read, specifically fantasy authors, kind of go out of their way to not really have a well-developed religion, or it's just kind of in the background, or it's just basically a cult. Brandon Sanderson does a really good job of trying to make these believable religions that people would actually believe and incorporate into their daily life, because maybe you or me don't necessarily believe in a higher power, but your neighbor might be, you know, Bible thumping kind of person. And you know what? That's fine, because we have those kind of people in our world, and it would make sense for there to be like very full-on believers in, you know, another world. And just as, you know, atheists or non-believers might have been criticized, you know, back in the day, so they are in this world. And it's very believable, and it's very well done. And he never lets his religion get in the way of his writing. So, tangent over. And so Shallan is trying to steal an item from Yasna to... Spoiler. So that's two characters. And then the third is Dalinar. Dalinar is Yasna's uncle, and he is basically the kind of de facto leader of the Alethi, which is the name of their ethnicity. Dalinar is the leader, basically. I mean, he's not the king, but he's the leader. And so they are waging war against the Parshendi, which are these kind of crustacean humanoid creatures, almost. And so they assassinated the previous king, and we are not necessarily sure why, but we know that happens because we see it in the prologue. And so they're fighting the Parshendi to get revenge. However, it's been like 5 years and no revenge is sought, and it's basically turned into squabbling and just kind of like war games. And so Dalinar wants to change that. He wants to unify the kingdoms to either get revenge or sue for peace. Between these three characters, Kaladin, Shallan, and Dalinar, we have the most fascinating narrative that it almost seems too divergent at times. Like, these are three completely separate, different stories, but then by the end, they all converge in a beautiful way, and the series continues, and it gets better and better with each installment. And like, literally the only reason why this book is my favorite is because of Kaladin. Beyond that, I think they're all fantastic. Like, they're literally all at the same level. The only reason this edges it out ahead for me is specifically because of Kaladin's backstory. And, you know, there's a lot that I'm not saying because I don't want to get into spoilers, because this book is best going in basically completely blind. And yes, you will be confused, but like, trust me. And so, like, I don't even know what to say. And I know I've been gushing for like a while, but there's something about this world and these characters that feels more alive to me than any other world I've ever been in mentally. More than Harry Potter, which we're not gonna talk about anymore. More than the Hunger Games, more than the Lunar Chronicles, every single other series ever that I've ever read, like even Game of Thrones, like just all of these like amazing books that I know and I've read and I've loved, and then this sits above it. Like, literally every other book that I read, I compare to this series because I want to feel the way that I feel when I read this series. Like, the immense pride I feel in the characters. I cried from being so proud of the characters. Like, what? Like, you know, I mean, I've cried from sorrow in other books before, but I don't think I've ever like cried from happiness. Oh, like prideful happiness. Like, it was bizarre, but like rereading it, I did it again. Like, so it's not just something that hit me once, it's like repeated. And, you know, as I've continued reading the series, which you will get reviews of those very soon, it's held true. It's been the same. If you've made it this far in the video, you must be thinking, Blake, do I really want to invest in a thousands and thousands page series? And my answer is you should be mad that there's not more pages, because you will get so invested and wrapped up in these characters' lives. Like, I swear to God, I talk about them like they're real people. Like, I will literally think about them and they would live rent-free in my head. And I look at fan art and I just gasp. And then I just imagine how it could be if it was a film or an animated series or a live action series or whatever. I just want to see this everywhere. Like, I want this to be the next big thing for the next, like, 30 years of all time. Like, I don't know. Basically, I'm ranting, and I know that, and it's gonna be impossible to edit this ranting down. But I just can't stop talking about it, and like talking about it just puts a smile on my face because I love it that much. And so basically I just want to say, if you read this and you don't enjoy it, that's fine, because I know it's not a book for everybody. I mean, there are books that are for people and will make them fall in love, and this was one of those books for me. And so I just want to share the love that I have for this book with you guys, because if even just a couple people pick this book up because of me and they are able to find a new favorite, a new home in their heart for these characters, that will make me so happy, more than literally anything. So what I'm saying is, if you feel like you're up to it, go read it. And that's without even talking about the Cosmere, because if y'all like the MCU, this is better than the MCU, because all of Brandon Sanderson's adult fantasy novels are connected into an epic, interconnected universe called the Cosmere. And right now, the big, well, not big, but the main crossover is a character called Hoyd, who shows up in every single book. And Hoyd mostly shows up as a cameo, and more than a cameo in some places. But the time to get excited is here, because in Stormlight, in some of the later books, crossovers start to occur. And they're not huge crossover, well, I mean, they are huge crossovers, but it's like, if you have not read the other things, you can read Stormlight and absorb it, and it is fine. But if you have read those other books, it just hits all the sweeter. So big hint, I have a review of Warbreaker on my channel. I would strongly recommend reading Warbreaker before you get to book 2 of this series. However, that is not to take away from the fact that this series is wonderful, it can stand alone, and really that's all you need. And I have talked way too long. So, if you think that you would like to read The Way of Kings, or if you're a little nervous and you're not quite sure, leave a comment down below and I will reply and try to help you if you're struggling with recommendation, or if you're like nervous or you're not sure where to start. Like, I will guide you, because this is my calling, to help people find this book. Anyways, this has been a long, crazy video, and I am so sorry. But I'm so glad that you have made it this far with me. And I would like to say, thank you so much. I love you guys. You know, I love just kind of shouting my opinion into the void, but also I love it when I hear how much you guys enjoy what I do, because it's like, oh, so I'm not doing it just for nothing. So if you want to see more, please subscribe. I'm gonna try to upload 2 videos a week. That might be a little ambitious, but I'm gonna try to do it. So like, comment, subscribe, all of the above. I love you guys, and I will see you next time.